Alright, I'm guessing we're capturing. I'm not really sure if we're capturing or not. I had a real time of it today trying to get on top of this screen capture software. I've always used Screencast-O-Matic and had great luck with that. Unfortunately, I just used the free version and it will only allow you to catch 15 minutes of capture time. So I went ahead and followed this link that Mike had provided. Let's see, where did I find that at? Right there. And for Camtasia. So I was going to try that 90-day trial, and I downloaded all of that, and then, which was a pretty big file, 250 meg file, and then when I tried to install it, well, the install process started, and then it crashed my computer. And so I've gone back to another application that I've liked for a long time called UCam. Cyberlink makes it. I didn't know that it had screen capture capability, but the new version does, so I downloaded and installed it. It's not web-based, it's installed right on the computer, so I'm hoping for better results than what I got with Screencast-O-Matic and so on. Anyway, to the task at hand here. This week's week 1 task 1 is to spend a couple hours here basically researching why some teachers do not choose to make decisions, why some teachers choose to make decisions that facilitate technology integration in their courses, and why some teachers do not choose to use technology in their courses. So, the task is to please use the learning time you have to prepare as if you're going to be part of a faculty meeting on this topic that will represent a diversity of perspectives. Well, this isn't a big stretch from what I did in the last class here, EDU708, talking about my manifesto and my declaration about the poor use of technology that the Army Cyber Center uses. They talk a good line, but the actual use of it is not what it should be. That said, I did manage to get a website built for one of my courses. The course has existed since 1989, and it has never had its own website, and I got a website set up for it as a result of my as a result of not the manifesto itself, but my thinking. I guess my train of thought kind of drove that, and yeah, so we have a website for one of the courses now that we're just developing. So we've moved ahead. Okay, so I think the first approach I want to take to decide why it is that some teachers choose to make decisions to facilitate technology integration in their courses and some do not, I'll need to just kind of peruse around a little bit, do some searches. So let me decide on what topics I might want to search. Let me pop Google up here. What do I want to search? Well, I think let's look at something like let's see what that pops up. Facilitating classroom technology. It's Kind of a for or against argument, I suppose. Let's look at the scholarly articles. Huh. That's kind of interesting. Teacher dispositions as predictors of classroom technology use. That's kind of interesting. Let's see what that has to say. Because if we're going to brief this as in a faculty meeting, by the way, if my voice is all garbled up, it's because my voice is all garbled up. I've been cold and flu season set in, and it started with me. So I'm a little under the weather right now, but I think we can get through. There's an abstract. This study examined various teacher dispositions that predict technology use among K-12 teachers. Well, now is that going to be talking about what they use or whether or not they use it? Teacher attitude survey was administered to 177 K-12 teachers from 6 Northwest Ohio schools. Well, I'm not sure that legitimizes this whole study since it was done in Ohio. This instrument measured a variety of teacher attitudes, such as teacher self-efficacy, philosophy, openness to change, amount of professional development, and amount of technology use in the classroom. Forward, multiple regression was conducted to identify the best combination of variables that predicts classroom technology use among K-12 instructors, teachers. Results indicate that the factor combination of amount of technology training, time spent beyond contractual work week, and openness to change best predicted classroom technology use. Well, now that sounds at least interesting. We'll have a go at that. So what I've done here also is I popped open what was that article called? Francis. Teacher dispositions as predictors. Something to that effect. What was it actually called? Some classroom technology use. Predictors of technology use. So we just put that URL right there, and let's have a look at the article. Sorry, you do not have access to this article. Alright. Huh. Well, that figures. You can't read it, but we'll sell it to you. Sometimes you can do an end around. Not this time. Okay. I don't need your article here. Neat subject, though. That seems like it would have been pretty insightful. Life beyond the classroom. Transition strategies. Keys to success. Let's have a look at that. So I have this my UCam software running, capturing all this action on the screen, live action. And but it doesn't actually say, like any kind of, give me any kind of indication that it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so these are all biome articles. Alright, well, I'm having a lot of luck so far. Let's have a look at SlideShare. Now that might be kind of interesting to look at. The question at hand is, why do some decide to do it and some don't? So this is just using. So this is kind of a pros and cons thing. Bored students in a classroom without technology integration versus engaged students classroom with technology integrated lessons and activities. So here's the benefits slide. Checklist. UnitedStreaming.com. That's interesting. We'll just use that for thinking about some of the reasons that teachers, they need multiple trainings and help, 10 workshops. So, issues. Comment. Competency and comfort with tech. That could be a reason. Because that's the question. Is why some teachers choose to make decisions that facilitate technology in their courses, and why some teachers do not choose to make decisions that facilitate technology in their courses. I think competency, comfort with tech, okay, and requires training. Makes me think of what's the drill we did? Oh yeah, digital natives. Folks aren't all that comfortable with it. It does require, man, I am just non-spelling tonight. Alright, so let me go back to this little slide. This was kind of interesting. Huh. Time. Alright, back on task. I'm just... So I'm supposed to be talking more. There's something. Here's where my thoughts are going. If this is supposed to be a think out loud experience for me, what I'm looking for is not, I think to some extent, integrating technology into a classroom, into training. You know, you can kind of intuitively, if you've been doing this for more than a minute, you can kind of think about colleagues, people you know yourself, that would be apprehensive, a little slow to jump on the bandwagon, for a host of reasons. So, I don't think it's rocket science to figure it out. What I am looking for, however, is, which I've found two things right out of this little SlideShare pack right here. What I'm looking for is ideas, just things that might make me think about, gosh, why wouldn't a person want to put technology in their classroom? I mean, it's incremental if you think about it. You know, from children sitting there with a slate board and a wooden desk, scratching out their ABCs, to chalkboards, to whiteboards. You know, there were some people probably that didn't like having whiteboards in there because, you know, those little markers will... when I look at a piece of chalk, I know exactly how much chalk I have left. When I have a marker, oh, I don't know if it's going to run out of juicy juice here anytime soon. I'm sure there was people that were resistant to that. I think it's a lot of paradigm involved. But let me dig into this further. I think I'm tracking on stuff. I know one thing, that in my own work, and that's something to consider. In my own work, we bought something called smartboards. Several years ago, we started using smartboards. We had whiteboards, then we went to smartboards. Smartboards are just an electronic. It's an electronic whiteboard that has got a lot of capability, really. People didn't want to use them because they didn't know how to use them, and it was not always intuitively obvious. There was a learning curve. It slowed them down. They were cumbersome. I think I'm going to add this to my thing here. There is a thing called professional pride. Colleague perception. Alright. Nobody wants to look like the dumbass. That's the bottom line. And so people were hesitant to use things, and maybe look stupid in front of their peers because they don't know how to use them, so they're embarrassed. So I'm going to put that down as a possible factor. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for pros and cons here. I'm not looking for pros and cons of using technology. I'm looking for factors that influence the use of technology. Why one person would be inclined to use it, and other people just don't want to. Professional pride. And this, again, it speaks to competency and learning curve. Peers and students. Here's another one. Paradigm. It's crazy. Whoever thought of spelling that word that way? Paradigm. So, there are paradigms that have to be broken. Speaking of competency, let's talk about spelling. Golly. Can't type, can't spell, can't breathe. By the way, I probably need to save this. So this is my experience with people. That's the way we've always done it. The comfort zone. Alright, now before I go any further also, I want to snatch up this little slide chair doojiggy and tag the URL in there. Whoops. Alright, so let's go back to the slide share. These remaining slides. Benefits of students completing group multimedia project. Two of my least favorite words throughout my whole undergrad experience. Group project. Use technology for a lesson only if it will add to the lesson and make it easier for students. Okay, so that is a key thing right there under paradigm. Let's see. Addition of tech needs a here value added. So, in this assignment, clearly I'm not going to go through here and just Google up and find a whole bunch of sources, papers that other people have written that answer all these questions. That would take all the fun out of it. This is a think out loud experience. So while I suppose I could copy and cite what other people have discovered and written in papers, this is actually not more fun and applicable, especially given my manifesto and getting this website set up. That was a coup right there. Here's a question that should be answered. We shouldn't use tech just for the sake of using tech. Or should we? Think. Energy. Forcing the kids to use tech, whether or not we believe there's value added in using the tech, isn't the point. The broader point is probably that kids are learning a topic, whatever, a math lesson in this case, and concurrently learning the use of some technology tool. So I hear that all the time. Well, you know, we don't want to use technology, or we don't want to do this and do that just for the sake of using it. To which I would have to reply, why not? You know, we don't need a bigger refrigerator. But if we can have access to one, why wouldn't we use it? Looking at these other encased listeners, screencast reviewer, if you wonder what I'm looking at these related topics over here. Why integrate technology in teaching? Using technology in the classroom, integrating technology into the classroom. So, yeah, I like that one. Let's just randomly select that one and see what's what. This tired little computer of mine is working at max capacity. It's an old computer. I've had this thing for a long time. I actually bought two of them, one for me, one for my son, when he was doing undergrad. And the thing is a little workhorse, but it's about wore out, and I got so much crap on it. It wasn't ever designed to use it the way I use it. And so it's just getting, it's pretty slow, pretty tired, about wore out. I think I want to try and get through my through this graduate program on this little rascal, and then I'll move on to something bigger, better, faster. So let's see what Sandra Gutierrez has to say about technology and education. Students speak out of benefits of tech. Well, now that's interesting. Students. Let's hear from the students. What do they think? And that could really go a long way toward the argument. So Mike says, why some teachers choose to make decisions that facilitate tech and some do not. Let's hear from the student side of the house. The key to success, the effects of technology on teaching. All right. That'd be an interesting, the second bullet, being able to keep up with the job skills necessary for their future. So I'm guessing that's kind of going to the note that I had made earlier. How did I say that? Right here, think synergy. So as they're learning topics and lessons and so on, they're also concurrently learning to use technology. I'm doing on time here. I kind of get yakety-yacked and caught up in this stuff, and so a few more minutes. Let me get through this slide presentation here. Technology brings learning to life. There is no more blah, blah, blah. Competency. Put that. Technological competency. That's the word I was looking after. Okay, but that's going back into pros and cons. Guess I'm still, I hope I'm still screencasting. Woohoo! Alright, let me go through here. I got a few more slides to hit. So that first bit right there, I've never been a proponent of the theory that education should be a dog and pony show aimed at keeping students entertained and amused every second of the class period. Word. So, paradigm, how about this? Perception of tech. Right, some teachers taking advantage of the capacity of technology is great to enhance and engage future students in active learning. Therefore, classrooms should be utilizing the technology for future use of the students. The irony of this, background on this slide pack has not escaped me. Ruler, chalk hands, old school chalkboard, pull down maps. Yeah, I remember those. Love them. Educational change depends on what teachers do and think. It's as simple and complex as that. So, wave off those other ones. Yeah, Microsoft Office. Wow. So teachers who don't want to integrate technology into their classrooms, I would say, I would have to ask them about that. Do they use Microsoft Word and PowerPoint? I have to say that I really don't know anybody who is opposed to integrating technology into their classrooms for their instruction. Alright, well, I'm going to wrap up this 45-minute special because I'm already well past that. And I'm going to resume back with some of these little slide packs because it's given me a plethora of really good ideas to determine why some teachers choose to make decisions that facilitate technology and some do not. Alright, more to follow. So, let me see what I have here. And let's